Suddenly you feel out of control. Something small that someone said, or something trivial like someone pushing in front of you in the supermarket, has made your emotions completely flare up. You're no longer in control of your day. Have you ever felt like that? Outwardly you might put a brave face on it, you might engage in a bit of passive aggression, but inside you're feeling really torn up. For the rest of the day, the tiny little bumps in the road now seem insurmountable, and you beat yourself up for feeling like this. And all of this takes up so much mental energy, doesn't it, that we miss the important things that we want to do in the day, that we want to be part of. By the end of the day, your body feels exhausted, and yet you haven't managed to engage in life in any meaningful way. It just feels like survival, doesn't it? Hi, I'm Rowan from Trauma Lab, and I get it. I've been through it, and I'm here to help you spot the symptoms of childhood trauma and move beyond them so that you can live a full experience of life. Now, these kind of events, these mini triggers in life, happen to most of us, don't they? And for other people, they can just ride them out. They can just go through them, and it doesn't knock them off kilter. But if you've experienced childhood trauma, it's robbed you of that resilience. Your brain has learned to be on guard to keep you safe at the slightest potential perception of danger. And what actually happens to us in those moments is a micro chain of events that set off in our body that creates a vicious fear loop that is very, very hard to break once it's in full flow. So, what happens? The brain activates a fight or flight response, which secretes adrenaline, chemicals in your bloodstream that make you feel on edge, make you feel ready to fight or flee or freeze or fawn. And this creates the fear feedback loop in your body. You've got your brain telling your body that it needs to be ready to fight or flee. And you've got your body feeling like it needs to fight or flee, which is reaffirming that fear bias in your brain. And to us, it feels terrible, doesn't it, when this is going on, this kind of reaction is happening in our bodies. We can't relax, we can't focus, we flip from one thing to another. And to compound it all, we have these very real feeling emotions created by the chemicals in our bloodstream that make it all feel really real, that we are actually in danger, even if we're not. I know from experience that if we don't recognize what's happening and catch it early and intercept this fear loop before it starts, we can lose literally moments, hours, days, weeks, months, even years where we have not been present, we've just been fearful, and that stopped us from experiencing life. You know, I've lost count of the times, I don't know if you have, that I've physically been somewhere with people, but mentally I've been in a total other place, and I've been worrying and I've been fearful and I've been scanning for things that might hurt me. You know what? Kids are really good at calling this out. I don't know if you've got children and if they've called that out in you, but mine certainly do in me, and that is a blessing. But it's worse, isn't it? When we're on holiday or we're somewhere we should be enjoying ourselves or with loved ones, and we're feeling like we can't engage, we can't connect. And that makes us feel even worse because it compounds it, because we feel bad for feeling bad. And we beat ourselves up even more. And the loop gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So how do we intercept this? Well, the first step, and this is really crucial, is that we recognize it as soon as possible. Speed is of the essence here. We are looking simply to recognize it, be alert to it, know what's happening, know that we're not really in danger. This is just a learnt response that is irrelevant to our real life. Second step, once you recognize it's happening, activate self-compassion, self-kindness. This is not your fault. This is because of the injury to your brain you sustained in childhood as the victim of trauma. And you know, in childhood, when it learnt these behaviors, the fears were justified. There was danger. You didn't know any better. You were a child. So cradle that child, cuddle that child, understand that child, and know that it's not your fault. So send love to that emotion, to that feeling, to that thought. Step 3, having said all that, it's now time for the adult in you to take control, to realize there's no dangers like there were when you were growing up, and to prioritize calm over everything else. If possible, drop what you're doing, disengage with whatever the trigger was, and prioritize becoming calm over and above everything else. And what are the techniques we can use to become calm? Well, here's a video that I produced with practical techniques that don't cost anything, that you can do anytime, anywhere. If you need to quickly squirrel off to a public toilet or get yourself away from the situation as quickly as possible, then do that. You owe it to yourself. Remember, the key here is to intercept that feedback loop, that fear bias loop, before it becomes too difficult to contain. So speed is of the essence. Compassion to yourself is important because it will allow you to calm. The blame will go, the self-referential part will diminish. And finally, to use techniques and tactics to get your body and mind into a calm state again. Today is just too important to lose, so prioritize this. As ever, I'm with you here every step of the way in your recovery.